Have you ever been truly afraid of something? I mean really, truly afraid. Not just the normal, oh, a spider, kind of fear. No, I'm talking about the deep-seated primal fear that makes your heart pound and your breath catch in your throat. The kind of fear that clings to you like a shadow. That's how I feel about doors. It's not entirely rational, I know. Doors are just doors. They're meant to be opened, to lead you from one place to another. But to me, they've always felt like a barrier, a thin line between safety and something else, something unknown. Maybe it started when I was a kid. I vaguely remember a time when I was playing hide and seek, and I squeezed myself into a small dark closet. The door swung shut, plunging me into absolute darkness. The panic was instant and suffocating. To this day, I can still feel the press of the door against my back, the way my own breath echoed in my ears. Whatever the reason, my fear of doors has followed me into adulthood. It dictates my movements, my choices, my life. I avoid rooms with too many doors. I sleep with my back to the wall, facing the only door in my bedroom. It's a constant, nagging anxiety that I can never quite escape. My bedroom door is old. It's made of some kind of dark wood, the varnish cracked and peeling in places. The handle is brass, tarnished with age, and there's a keyhole that hasn't seen a key in decades. But it's not any of those things that bother me. It's the way it watches me. I know, doors can't watch you. They're inanimate objects. But that's the thing about fear. It doesn't have to make sense. It just is. And this door, with its dark, brooding presence, fills me with an unshakable sense of dread. It's always there, looming in my peripheral vision. When I'm lying in bed, trying to fall asleep, I can feel its gaze on me, like it's waiting, watching, judging. I've tried everything to shake the feeling. I've rearranged the furniture, hung pictures on the wall, even bought a new bedspread. But nothing works. The door remains the focal point of the room, an ever-present reminder of my own unease. It started subtly at first. A creak here, a groan there. The sounds an old house makes, settling into itself as the day wears on. But as the weeks turned into months, the sounds grew more frequent, more insistent. I started hearing things at night, soft whispers that seemed to emanate from the other side of the door, the scrape of something dragging across the floor. Sleep became my enemy. I would lie awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, every nerve ending on high alert. Shadows seemed to dance at the edges of my vision, taking on sinister shapes. My imagination, fueled by fear, ran wild. I tried to rationalize it away. It's just the wind, I told myself. It's just the house settling. But deep down, I knew better. Something was happening. Something that centered around that damn door. It was a Friday night and I was home alone. A storm was raging outside, wind howling like a banshee, rain lashing against the windows. I was holed up in my bedroom trying to distract myself with a book, but the words swam before my eyes. The door seemed to pulse with an energy all its own. Suddenly, a reckless thought popped into my head. It was stupid, childish even, but I was desperate. I stood up, my heart hammering in my chest, and walked over to the door. "I'm not afraid of you," I said, my voice barely a whisper. The words felt hollow, even to my own ears. I took a deep breath and continued, my voice trembling. "You're just a door. You can't hurt me." And then, because sometimes I can't help but tempt fate, I did something incredibly stupid. I raised my hand and knocked on the wood, 3 sharp raps. The sound echoed through the room, loud and final. I instantly regretted it. The moment my knuckles connected with the wood, something shifted. The air grew heavy, charged with a strange energy. The temperature in the room plummeted, sending a shiver down my spine. And then, the headaches started. They were unlike any headache I'd ever experienced before. It felt like someone was driving an ice pick into my temples, the pain so intense I thought my head would explode. I doubled over, clutching my skull, trying to stifle a scream. The headaches became a regular occurrence, striking at random, always accompanied by a strange pressure in my sinuses. Then came the nosebleeds. I'd be sitting there, minding my own business, when suddenly, blood would come pouring out of my nose, hot and thick. It was as if my body was trying to expel something evil, something that had taken root deep inside me. Fear became my constant companion. I was afraid to leave my room, afraid to stay, afraid to even breathe too loudly. The door seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy, and I was caught in its web, unable to escape. One evening, as I was trying to work up the courage to leave my room and get something to eat, I noticed something strange. It was a small, wooden box sitting on the floor of my closet. The closet was located directly behind the door, and I could have sworn it hadn't been there before. The box was plain, unadorned, with no visible hinges or latches. It looked old, ancient even, the wood dry and cracked with age. I cautiously approached it, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't want to touch it, but something compelled me to. As I reached out a trembling hand, I heard a voice. It was soft, barely audible, but it seemed to come from inside the box. Don't. The voice, barely a whisper, sent chills down my spine. I recoiled from the box, as if it had burned me, my heart hammering in my chest. I wanted to run, to escape the suffocating confines of my bedroom, but my feet felt rooted to the spot. The room seemed to shrink around me, the air thick and heavy. The door, which had always been a source of terror, now seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy. I could feel its gaze upon me, cold and calculating. And then, slowly, deliberately, the door began to open. I stood, frozen in place, my eyes wide with terror, as the door creaked inward, revealing a swirling vortex of darkness. The air grew frigid, and the stench of decay filled my nostrils. I wanted to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. From the depths of the darkness, a figure began to emerge. It was tall and skeletal, its flesh rotten and decayed. Its eyes glowed with an unholy light, and its grin was a grotesque parody of a smile. It reached out a hand towards me, its fingers long and bony. Terror lent me a burst of adrenaline. I spun on my heel and ran towards the window, my only thought escape. The figure let out a guttural growl, the sound echoing through the room as I fumbled with the latch. My fingers were slick with sweat, but I managed to force the window open and scramble through. I didn't stop running until I was blocks away, my lungs burning, my legs screaming for mercy. I collapsed on a park bench, gasping for breath, my clothes torn and my body trembling. When I finally caught my breath, I risked a glance back at my apartment building. My window was dark, the curtains drawn tight, but even from this distance, I could have sworn I saw the faint outline of the figure standing in the window, its glowing eyes fixed on me. I haven't been back to the apartment since. I left everything behind, my belongings, my life, all abandoned in my haste to escape. I'm staying with a friend for now, but I know I can't hide forever. The door, and whatever evil lurks behind it, is out there, and it knows who I am.